Welcome everybody. We still have 2 minutes waiting to go. Whilst we're waiting, I'd like to run through who we have on today. It's exciting to see not only Australia, but we have people from New Zealand, Malaysia, hi to our Malaysian friends, Singapore, hello to Singapore, the UK, welcome to the UK, Japan, nice to see we've got some people from Japan, Thailand, hello Thailand, and the United States. Welcome. It's good to see some people from so many places around the world. Whilst we spend another minute before we start, I'd like to introduce, as usual, our customer support team. On the top left, we have Whitney.
Hi, everyone.
And Karen.
Hi, everyone.
And Melissa.
Hi, everyone.
So it's nice to see our customer support team supporting us as usual. Karen, could I ask you to say a couple of words on what you guys do for us?
Thank you, Matt. As your client relationship managers, we are here to support you guys. We are that connection between the surgery and the lab, so feel free to contact us at any time. Also, feel free to contact our customer support team with your day-to-day pickups, or if you need to speak to a technician, we're here to support you guys in any way we can. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Karen, and thanks to the other guys there. Feel free to contact those girls anytime. They're a wealth of knowledge and they're here to support you and your clinic. So by all means, feel free to contact us anytime. So we're right on past. I'm going to share screen now. Excuse me one moment whilst I get this loaded up. Okay, so complete digital workflows. So welcome today's webinar. I'd like to get started now. We're about looking forward for a 20 to 30 minute presentation. So we're looking forward to making that happen. As you can see today, we've got a massive shift that we've seen occurring over the last few years. Once upon a time, we saw that this enormous amount of people were being enhanced by a small group of technology. And we've really seen that a massive shift has changed now, where we see enormous amounts of technology being used by a small amount of people. We're seeing a huge disconnect now as the technology advances. And why do we see that happen? Predominantly for speed of manufacture, efficiency, which is probably one of the most important components. We also see enhanced accuracy in dental manufacture when we see the digital workflows being taken advantage of. The scalability that digital technology enables us to grasp is definitely one of the biggest enhancements. It does allow predictability, so now predominantly with manufacturing we can see predictable results every time now, but most importantly we see advancements in productivity. Karen, if you could vet the questions as they come through at any stage. If someone does send, I please request. I can't see you guys now, so I'll be waiting to see you guys through Karen, if you wouldn't mind. So the productivity really has been advanced. I wanted to show you a slide that I saw back in 2011. On the left-hand side of the screen here, you'll see this was a projected guesstimate of what was going to happen in the dental laboratory realm over the years projected. So you can see here in the yellow a traditional dental laboratory who did things handmade, traditional manufacture. You'll see the decline over years that was estimated until 2020. The teal colour in the middle is the hybrid laboratory who uses a little bit of digital, but predominantly stuck to the old ways of hand manufacturing. And you can see a slow decline here over the time until the estimated time of 2020. The lime green coloured is the advanced hybrid, the dental laboratory who are doing things by hand a little bit, but using technology to change the steps in the delivery of the service. And at the top here, you'll see in blue, the highly advanced digital laboratory who uses the technology to change the value of the steps in the delivery of these services. And we can see this since 2011. I thought it was quite fitting that now we're in 2020, and we've seen this exactly take place in our industry with the advancements of digital. The timing is everything, and a big question we have with our clinicians is, when should I digitize and when's the best time to jump on the train? And at the timing versus the risk, and that the pursuit of innovation sits on a curve, and it's the technology adoption curve. On the left-hand side, you'll see the innovators. They're just the people that really love technology and want to jump on board as soon as possible. Next, we have the early adopters, and the early adopters are the ones that have recognized the benefits of it and want to jump on board as quickly as possible. And this is where we see the chasm. And the chasm here is a little disconnect that we see, excuse me, where people soon realize that technology can't do what it said it can do. The technology is being dominated by the marketeers, not so much the engineers. And once we get past the chasm here and we figure it out and the technology works, I do apologize, and the technology works, we see the early adopters really take advantage of that before the early majority in the middle here jump on board, and that's when the technology works perfectly and works well. The early majority take advantage of that, and down here the late majority then miss out on a lot of the technology benefits, and the laggers at the end miss out completely. At this point here, around about here, that we see the next technology take off and the next adoption curve take place. And that's how new technology is adopted and how it works. What does that mean for us? We can see on the left-hand side, the innovators are the tech trigger point. Then we get this peak of inflated expectations before the trough of delusionment during that chasm. Once we cross the chasm and the early majority jump on board, we see a slope of enlightenment before the plateau of productivity and the technology work perfectly long term. So what's important to make it happen? Change. Change is mandatory for extraordinary results. Change turns coal into diamonds. Pressure turns coal into diamonds. So if you maintain that open mind to change and you're happy to deal with the pressure, hopefully we'll end up with diamonds. We do see a lot of people, unfortunately, we were the same, that are too busy to innovate. When a new technology comes along here and approaches us, we're so busy dealing with the way we used to do it, where we get too busy to change. And I think this is something we need to look at, one step backwards to go 2 steps forwards. It's important you don't get too busy to innovate, because we see a lot of people miss the bus long term because they're just too busy to make change. So how do we digitise? And where do we start? It's a great question. As clinicians and technicians and a dental industry, I like to break it down into steps. If we can just step along 1 step at a time, it'll make it easier as we descend these stairs. So my motto, and I did have a motto, I think it's important to stay open-minded. So my motto was WTF. Welcome the future. Stay open-minded. Don't be too busy to innovate. Spend time looking at technology. Spend time appreciating what it can do, and then envisage how your business may be able to benefit from that. So looking at the steps of digitization. Start with digital materials. Take advantage of the restorative manufacturing benefits that digital technology enable. Zirconia, Emax CAD, monolithic solutions manufactured utilizing industrial milling technology. Enhanced fit, better marginal integrity, stronger products, more aesthetics. Start with those products there. Not so much of a big investment, but taking advantages of the benefits. Then move to digital impressions. Most people have done this now. Creating an easier workflow, better results, and a streamlined clinical environment. Then work with digitally ready companies. This is a really important component for digitizing your workflows. Aligning your company or your strategies with other compatible companies is definitely a way to go. Harmonious results, aligned workflows will get better results. And then lastly, grow with digital integration. Once you've integrated this, you can then enjoy the benefits of the growth that comes with it. So, digital products. Here you can see some monolithic or some lithium disilicate restorations. These products have come a long way of late, and we can really make them look nice. Monolithic translucent zirconia. This is an opalite restoration, #1 selected crown across Australia and New Zealand, or super translucent zirconia if you're looking for more aesthetic results. This one here is a 3-unit bridge across this bridge here, and I think with monolithic solutions we can get a really nice result now. So taking advantages of fit, aesthetics, translucency, function, and strength that these products allow really enable us to get better results utilizing those digital steps. But don't just pick one material. Ensure the product matches the indicative needs of each patient. If you're working for the Tin Man, maybe consider a full metal restoration. Bruxes, monolithic zirconia. Upfront veneer cases, lithium disilicate, and so on. For digital impressions, this is probably the #1 advancement or improvement that our industry has seen. And I've been forever grateful that these companies have focused on digitizing the front end of the clinical practice. 3Shape Trios, the Medit i500, no doubt the most advantageous ones that we see most work coming in from. And I really have enjoyed what this has done for not just our business, not just our patients' results, but our industry as a whole. In 2015, you'll see a small percentage of impressions received at our laboratory from digital impressions for crown, bridge, and implant cases. In 16, it grew. In 17, it grew. In 18, it grew further until last year we saw nearly 60% of impressions received for crown, bridge, and implant restorative manufacture were received from digital acquisition. With no doubt the benefits are vast and huge. In 2013, I saw this slide at a presentation, and it was based off 123,757 zirconia crowns manufactured from digital impressions from a laboratory in America called Glidewell Dental. It shows the benefits of digital versus conventional, with an 80% reduction in return for marginal errors, a 60% reduction in return for occlusal errors, 55% reduction in returns for fit issues, and 30% reduction in remakes overall. I was staggered with those numbers. Back in 2013, I soon realised that's the direction that we wanted to take our lab, and I strived for similar results to this. So the digital transition is quite easy. Back in the day, this was a digital camera. Back in the day, digital calculator, digital scales, digital thermometer, and a digital clock. These days, it's just a camera, calculator, scales, thermometer, and clock. Just like digital impressions, when they first arrived, were digital impressions. Now, due to them being the majority, they just become impressions. We have impressions and traditional impressions. And why does that happen? Why do digital impressions come and take over? Same reason digital photographs came. Analog cameras, you could take a photograph and you could show the photograph to anyone that was in the same room. Then stack the photograph up in a drawer or in a room next to all your other photographs. But with a digital camera, we took a photograph and we could take advantage of so many more platforms. Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. We could hide it in the cloud, store it in the cloud, email a friend instantly, copy and paste, like, dislike, stitch it, and start making more use of our photographs overnight. So the advantages of digital camera far surpass a traditional camera. And that's similar to an analog impression. We take an impression and we have a model. We can make a crown from it. We can show other people the model that are sitting in the same room as us, and then we can stack it up in a room with all our other models. But a digital impression is one taken from a trios. We can do far more with a digital impression. We can use it for digital smile design. We can upload it to the cloud, marry it with a CT scan for implant placement guides, use it for manufacture, patient education, orthodontics, line technology, aligners, chairside milling, but most of all, instant feedback on our preparations. Far more diverse benefits with a digital impression than a traditional impression. So I ask here who here has already gone digital. Some of our clinicians say, I haven't quite digitized yet. And I beg to differ. They're starting to use Emax CAD or monolithic zirconia, so they've already digitized their material selection. Their front end is now run from computer, so they've digitized the front end of their surgery. Their X-rays and CBCTs have been taken digitally. The way they communicate with their lab has become digital. So quite often we hear that they haven't digitized, where we believe that most people have digitized. The only thing they still haven't quite focused on is the front end. So digital shade taking, for example, and there's no doubt a DSLR camera will give the best results, but there's enormous amounts of cost and learning curve to working digital DSLR cameras. And I think these days with some of these smartphones and technologies such as this Smile Light here, we don't really need to invest in the technology nor the training that we used to. A Smile Light such as this with nice diffusers, polarized capability, and 45-degree lights can really give us some nice results. You strap any smartphone on the back and instantly get macro shots like this from a smartphone. The day I bought this technology, I strapped it to my phone and I took this photograph of one of our ceramists. Here you can clearly see the interproximal warmth needed. The halo, the mamelons, the translucency, the labial characterization. There's no doubt you give us photos like this and educate and provide this to your laboratory, then the laboratory will provide better results for shade taking, shaping and labial characterization. How else can we digitize or take advantage of our digital benefits? We saw this with Smile Design, and this is one of my favorites. Back in 1999, we used to use Photoshop. A dentist would send a photo like this, and we'd paint on the photo using Photoshop, send these two photos back to the dentist, and then we hopefully case acceptance would go up. In 2001, we used full face photos. We tell photos like this, and if you watch the patient's teeth as I use Photoshop to cover them, we then started seeing some pretty good case acceptance improvements when we sent before and after photos back. 2001, these results were life-changing as we saw case acceptance increase. Then in 2014, along came DSD, Digital Smile Design. So it enabled us to be do our smile design and motivate the patient and not be so disingenuous with our promise. We can now design the teeth and guarantee we could deliver on our promise. It wasn't just an artist's impersonation or layering of teeth over a photograph. We can now get more of an idea and hope that our delivery could be achieved. We saw photos like this, 12 o'clock view up here, the anterior view here, the occlusal view of the model, and height-width ratios, golden proportions, recurring aesthetic dentistry movements. We can see a lot of benefits that DSD gave us. The profile smile, how much we need to increase or how much we need to decrease through reductive technology. It gave us a lot of benefits, and you can see the smile design that we could do was much more realistic. And I really enjoyed what DSD gave us back in 2014. Photography is paramount to get the case looking good, so please ensure your photos are right. They are super important to make sure it's right. Then 3Shape decided to jump on the bandwagon, and they provided us with technology called Smile Designer, where we could quickly have a look at the case and quickly see what we could do for a patient. And it became much quicker and much simpler, but to marry the disingenuous approach, we then took a scan of the patient or scan the model. You can see at the top here on the right hand side. The photograph on the left, we zoom into on the right, and we start marrying the photograph down the bottom right with the digital scan. Once we import that, we can start seeing the model inside the patient's mouth. So whilst we're doing our digital smile design, with the improvements of the complete digital workflow, we're actually designing the teeth in the patient's mouth in real view. So 3Shape Real View became a much more powerful tool to guarantee the results were going to be achieved. They also guaranteed the results could be put onto this particular patient's needs. So I really saw it advance again from DST through to the complete digital workflow. You'll see here we can now start designing the teeth on the actual scan of the patient in the patient's mouth in the photograph. And we can start looking at how it's going to look on the left-hand side here. We can see is it going to cant, height to width ratios, length, even down to improved gingivectomy cases. It's far more advanced than it was back in 2014 with what 3Shape can do for us. We cut the window out down the bottom right-hand side. We have a look at the teeth in the patient's mouth, and we can then see what we've got. We can 3D print the model. This is the model ready for print. The model gets printed, flops get made, and then that's used for chairside clinical moves. More powerful and far more useful because we're designing the final restorations right at the start. And I really find that powerful, and that's what we had been missing when the first digital smile design came along. So 3Shape smile design here, we have a case, we import height to width ratios into capillaries, we look at the teeth, start designing the shape that we need, and then communicate with our clinicians through doing this. At this stage, this is just a communication tool for the technicians and clinicians. We can see we have a model. Once we're happy with that, it turns into a 3D printed model and we'll make some guides. You can see the detail of today's 3D printers has come a long way. We can duplicate the labial characterization from imported natural teeth. It's a very, very powerful tool. Soft-wash putty keys are made from that for the temporization stages or the diagnostic motivational mock-up, and we can start educating the patient and gaining their trust. You can see before and after, we can say to the patient, this is what we can do. So this is a great motivational tool for not only case acceptance, but ensuring that we have the right shape to enable cases to be done right first time, every time. So the scan of the preps is then taken and sent to the lab. Here's the scan that's come in. We import that initial STL file that we took of the diagnostics over the top of the teeth. And this is where I love this system because we guarantee the results. They become the final design of the STL for the mill. Restorations are then milled. You can see at the top right hand side now with today's industrial milling technology, we can now mill these to 2 or 3/10 of a millimeter. Very powerful edge stability. The model is 3D printed. The model comes out. You can see the detail of the model. All this scarring here is the gingivectomy. All the scarring here is the gingivectomy that took place. Laser. The model, the restorations come out of the mill. Screws are removed, and the crowns are then finished. It's a simple glaze, monolithic finish. You can see the restorations here. This is just simple glaze and stone. The case is sent to the clinician. It's tried in, bonded. And I think this workflow makes life so easy from a clinical view, technical view, patient education and understanding. We no longer do porcelain try-ins and increase our grey hair. I really love that. So the ideal mock-up, you can see at the top, becomes a 3D printed model, which in turn becomes the design of the veneers, the same STL, which in turn becomes the milled restorations, which are then finished in the lab and bonded in the mouth. The complete digital workflow enables a consistency, reproducibility, and practicability that we've never had before. We really love what digital technology has done for us as clinicians, technicians, and patients. You can see the initial here on the left. The smile design to guide us, the mock-up to guide the patient, and the final patient, happy as Larry. So before and after, once you get these techniques, the complete digital workflow right, it enables these results right every time. You can do before and afters all day long, never see them come back. The only thing we need to focus on now is understanding truly what the patient's shade desires are. Now we can understand, do they want natural incisal embrasures? Do they want more Hollywood finish? And the 2D up front is a real good idea to understand the patient's needs, to make sure we deliver first time. I don't want to be doing remakes, and nor do you. So I really loved, as Australia's #1 TSD certified lab and complete digital workflow specialist, you can really transform anyone. Here's a patient we did for Dr. Habidi in New Zealand. Thanks to our New Zealand doctors out there for that slide. I appreciate that one. So, to finish up, how else can it help us? Maybe digital implant placement. Today's digital implant placement or implant placement guides, it's predictable, it's easy, it's today's industry standard. It is more cost effective because it eliminates results. It's reliable, and it can be used for not only single tooth placement in tricky positions where you've got to place that implant between close to a nerve or between two adjacent teeth, but also for full arch cases, and I think that's where it comes to where it can be benefited from the most. A cone beam can be taken, married with a digital impression, imported to computer guided surgery, the guide is made, case is finished. But can it be used for full arch cases, and can a digital impression be used for full arch cases? Some time back, I wanted to test this theory. So if this case was finished traditionally, I put some scan bodies on the model, took a tree-shaped trios scan, printed 2 models, placed my analogues, and did a dental technician gingivectomy to see how passive the case was from the original model to here, and I got perfect results, and I was most impressed with the technology. Now we do full arch cases. Here's an all-on-4 from the digital impression. Obviously, we can't have the maxillary-mandibular relationship due to having no occlusion, so it comes in like this, and we make a simple bite guard. Here's a bite block, but also this is on top of a clear acrylic stent to ensure that we have an accurate model. So once this is placed, you X-ray this to make sure it's passive, and if it is, you go ahead and use the bite block. But when you've got your bite block like this, be sure to take it one step further. Not only do you mark the midline, but look at the patient's nasal wings and then put a dot where you think the canine should be. And then with similar techniques that we use for digital smile design, we can import the teeth in relationship to the smile curve and to start designing the shape of the tooth we want. So even our full arch implant hybrid department, our full arch implant department are utilising digital smile design and the complete digital workflow to enable results first time, every time. Try-ins, first time, every time. So when we do our wax up, and this is the diagnostic wax up on a digital impression, we 3D print the soft tissue, we 3D print the model, we can start sending our diagnostic setups and wax ups out, looking good. We know they're going to fit, we know they're going to be nice because we've utilised the benefits of digital technology. This is how we send out our full arch hybrid cases, ready for trying, and rarely do they come back for retry. Uppers and lowers all at the same time, more than happy to put them out because of the benefits of manufacturing techniques these days. Really have come a long way. If it is going to be for a monolithic zirconia, still that impression or that try-in is scanned, and then we just do a simple cut back for the gingival porcelain. The restoration STL is then merged, ready for mill. You can see both views ready to be milled. And the case comes back from the mill. We glaze and stain the teeth and do a simple gum build-up on the gingiva. And for these reasons, these simplified workflows enable us to get nice results out every time, first time. I really love what the digital technology has done for us. So to digitize your practice, it really is turning an art into a science for efficiency, consistency, productivity, predictability, which I think is the most important component, and reproducibility. Not only can we do it once, we can do it over and over and over again. We've turned an art into a science. Complete scientific management. So this brings us to the end of our half-an-hour presentation. I would just have a quick look now to see if we have any questions. Karen, are you with us still?
I am, Matt. I'm here for you. We haven't had any questions come through currently, but if you'd like to send those questions through now, everybody would be more than happy to answer those for you.
I can see at the top there's questions coming through. I'm not sure why you're not getting those, but excuse the block out here. Looking there, do we have to use 3Shape? Great question. Not at all. This can be done digitally. You can take on with Medit i500 scanner, the Trios scanner. There's a number of different, any of the scanners that are out there and working you can use. And software-wise, we use the 3Shape system, but I believe there's some other softwares that enable you to work like this. ExoCAD, I believe, is a good one. But we've been using 3Shape with our engineers and research and development team are always testing what's new and coming out, and they still believe that they are the market leaders there. So great question. You don't have to use 3Shape, but I think it works well for us.
I think you've answered that question. That's really good. Dr. Gomez has also sent through a question asking which scanner we would recommend.
Look, any scanner that you're happy works well for you and works that can be used. I think the best entry-level scanner would probably be the Medit i500. It's cost-effective and it takes a brilliant impression. If you want to just take an impression and send it to your lab or import the file into some sort of software, I think it's an awesome and a fantastic scanner for getting started. If you wanted to build a practice with implant placement guides, orthodontic surgery, orthodontics, and start a full range of software capabilities, I think maybe the 3Shape Trios would be better suited for you. But the scan capabilities and the accuracy are as good with both. So I hope that answers the question.
Got another great question here from Dr. Katiko, Matt, just regarding the CEREC scanner and the use of that for DSD.
Sure, DSD can be used with the CEREC systems. It's a little bit more clunky because you need to export the STL and we need to then get it to us somehow. It's not as seamless as some of these other scanners because they don't have the back-end communication capabilities. But the scan itself can definitely be used for DSD if you can, I believe you need to put some extra software onto your system to enable the STL to be exported. But if you can get it to us, then we can use it, no problem.
Another question here from Dr. Moses Louis. Hi, Dr. Louis. Do we accept any implant system, Matt?
Any implant system currently available in Australia today, and about 15 or 16 that aren't available in Australia, we currently work with. Our implant concierge can work with any implant system currently available today. So the answer to your question, if you're in Australia and New Zealand and using Race Dental with any system, if you're in one of these other countries that are listening today, feel free to contact us at customer support, and I'll follow that up because I just wanted to make sure that we can support systems in those countries too.
Fantastic. Thank you, Matt.
Okay, I think probably everyone's going to be ready to get back to work. I appreciate everyone's time. Feel free, and remember, next week, in 2 weeks' time, the next one up and running. But thank you all for your time, and I look forward to seeing you all on the other side.